Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Please consider subscribing, liking, donating to the channel if you enjoy the content. Boom, let's get into it. The Secret Society and Chris Colbert rob Jose Valenzuela. Talk about one of the worst decisions that I've seen in a long time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not biased to either fighter. My two favorite fighters, Zab Judah, Chris Bird. But my gosh, man, Chris Colbert did not deserve to win that fight. Now, I'm not sure what the judges were looking for. I'm not sure what they were seeing. I know what I was seeing. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can have a fighter who's clearly winning the fight by outboxing his opponent or her opponent. But if during that fight, the harder, more damaging blows are landed by their opponent and they're being visibly hurt, you tend to find that most judges give that fighter the round. Not the person who's floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, but the one who's coming forward, the pressure stalker, or the heavy boxer puncher, and is damaging the opponent with sledgehammer-like shots. And in my opinion, Valenzuela did a lot. He did most of that throughout the fight. There were a couple of rounds where he took off, but for the most part, Valenzuela, to me, did more than enough to win that fight. And that knockdown in the first round, boy, I thought Colbert was out cold. He was out cold. When he hit the ground, he woke up. Then at the last round, he was on his way out again. And in several of the rounds, Chris Colbert was out, man, on his feet. Just absolutely amazing performance by Valenzuela. But to Chris Colbert's credit, he was coming up to 135 from 130. He recognizes that Valenzuela was just too big for him. But at the end of the day, talk about dodging a bullet. It makes me wonder, what did Jose Valenzuela do to piss off the Secret Society? Because I'm going to tell you, the Secret Society is real in boxing. When these members of the Secret Society get together, formulate a plan, strategize on what they want the next move for boxing to be, for sanctioning bodies to be, for champions to be, and for prospects to be. They make sure stars line up with their objectives. You understand? And that's what I think happened last night. Now, for Chris Colbert, what does he go on to next? I don't know. We were talking about fighting Adrian Broner, but Adrian Broner is not going to come down below probably 144 pounds. Colbert definitely doesn't want anything to do with anybody above 130 pounds. So that fight can't happen. So for Chris Colbert next, we're talking about Frank Martin. Well, Chris Colbert says he wants to stay at 130. What's he going to do next? I don't really know. But I'll tell you what, Chris Colbert has been exposed at not having a good chin. If he fights somebody that can really punch, Chris Colbert's in trouble. All right? He's in trouble. Because obviously Chris Colbert just doesn't have the type of punching power to make anybody really, after like maybe a third round, to respect what he brings to the table, punch-wise. Now, as far as his skill set and flashy combinations, I mean, we're always going to kind of cheer that on. But at the end of the day, his kryptonite is a guy who can punch. Now, I'm going to tell you, man, when we talk about, because the frustration was this, man, you know, people are like, well, there's nothing worse than watching a pay-per-view fight and seeing a fighter get robbed. And I really paid attention to that Chris Colbert fight. I went back and watched highlights. And I'm going to tell you, bad judging is just something that exists in boxing. We saw it in the Colbert Valenzuela fight. And, you know, even I would say the judging and even the refereeing in the damn Benavidez Plant fight, you know, that's pretty horrible as well. And that's why you get the public where they lose their confidence, man. And you even hear people talking about the sport of boxing, its legitimacy, and people are being turned off. And talk about incompetence being, evolving into corruption. And people just start to wonder why they sacrifice their time to even watch these fights. Now, I'm going to tell you this. That's why I always talk about the secret society, man. People think I'm joking. Yeah, I say it and I make it funny, but I'm serious as a heart attack. But the thing is this, right? What was Valenzuela and Colbert, was that a close fight? I always say if the fight's close, well, the person who lost loses his right to complain because he should have knocked the other person out. But not all close fights are bad decisions. But I don't think this fight was close. With Caleb Plant and David Benavidez, I think that fight was closer than this fight, Colbert and Valenzuela. The reason why some people will be adamant about Benavidez and Plant not being close is because the second half of the fight is probably all they remember. You know what I mean? And the second half of the fight was, Benavidez was pretty much having his way in almost all the rounds. There was a couple of, swing rounds, a couple of close rounds after round 6, but for the most part, Benavidez, talk about picking up steam. I mean, he was all gas, no brakes. But I still find that Benavidez Plant may have been a bit closer because Plant won a lot of those early rounds and may have picked up 1 or 2 after round 6. But that's not the case with all bouts, okay? Some just end up with basically like no like the ski mask way, no Vaseline when it comes to robberies and guys getting screwed. So the question is just how bad was this Colbert Valenzuela robbery? Was this on the level of a Nikolai Valuev versus Vander Holyfield? You know what I'm saying? That one kind of flew underneath the radar. But everyone who watched that fight felt that Holyfield did enough to win. But it is what it is. He was older at the time. And some people had it 118, 110 for Holyfield, but I think they jerked him because of that. You think about this guy Shannon Briggs when he fought Foreman. It is what it is, man. But a lot of people really felt that Foreman outlanded Briggs. He had a significant margin. He had Briggs on Queer Street, but at the end of the day, Briggs got a victory over George Foreman. And I think Valenzuela and Colbert falls in the category of a Holyfield, Valuev, of a Briggs Foreman. Now I'm gonna tell you one of the worst robberies I've seen. You guys may remember this one. It's Oscar De La Hoya when he fought Felix Sturm. Remember Oscar De La Hoya came in the fight super soft in the midsection, looking crazy, because he had just started being a promoter. Was out there singing R&B or whatever the hell he was singing, and he came in there super flabby and just got a gift wrap unanimous decision, 115-113, and everyone knew De La Hoya lost that fight. Now, one of the worst robberies, right? And I think Colbert Valenzuela is not as bad, but it's up there. When Paul Williams fought Erislandy Lara, that was the first time I'd ever seen Erislandy Lara fight. Lara should have won that fight, man. No kidding. He should have won every round. That's how crazy it was when you look at what Lara did to Williams in that fight. But those 3 judges for that fight were suspended by the New Jersey State Athletic Commission. I'm telling you, now there was no evidence of wrongdoing, but they sure as hell got rid of those suspended judges and made them undergo further training. But I'm going to tell you right now, the secret society got to those judges, and that's what you saw happen there. Absolutely, absolutely horrible. Now, when you talk about other fighters, man, Timothy Bradley, Manny Pacquiao. We know Timothy Bradley did not beat Manny Pacquiao. Now, Bob Arum, the secret society, setting up Tim Bradley and Pacquiao for a second fight to just make more money. You know what I'm saying? But we all know Bradley never beat no damn Manny Pacquiao. What a joke that was. Then you have where Lewis and Evander Holyfield went on, man, to have a fight. And it was absolutely hilarious that what's his name, Holyfield got him a win over Lewis, but Lewis came back and beat Holyfield down the road. But it was funny because that judge in that fight, Larry O'Connell, he came up with a 115-115 draw to overrule Stanley Christodoulou. You might remember some of these names. And he was the only judge who watched the fight, who scored at 116, 113 for Lewis. But that's why I tell you, a lot of these promoters, a lot of these guys who are, the mob and other influencers, they get to these judges and referees, man, at these conferences. And they put big money in their pockets. They say, I need the fight to go this way. I'm not making that up. This stuff is a fact. And you know who else talks about this is Teddy Atlas. He's always talking about the corruption in boxing. And then some people would say Pernell Whitaker against Julio Cesar Chavez was a ridiculous decision where they robbed Pernell Whitaker. And then probably the worst of all is in the Olympics with Roy Jones Jr. and the guy he fought, the Korean Park Si-hun. Like, that was just horrible where they just stole that gold medal from Roy Jones. But I bring all that up to say, I think Valenzuela's win was so convincing that it could probably challenge these corrupt decisions by these inept judges for the aforementioned. And I'm going to tell you right now, Colbert, not sure what direction he's going to go. He's talking about 130. But for him, he's got to be very careful of fighting somebody who can hit, because Colbert can't take a shot. And I get Valenzuela had Heredia in his training camp, and Heredia helped Valenzuela. But as of right now, I'm always talking about the fruit cocktails. They got the legal ones and the illegal ones. And obviously, what Heredia is putting together, Conti's putting together, those cocktails are legal because Valenzuela didn't test positive for anything. So at the end of the day, I got to say Valenzuela was just a better man. But going forward, man, these judges, they have to do better. But as long as the secret society's involved, man, it's going to suck for some of these fighters that really deserve wins. You know what I mean? But that being said, y'all keep cool. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you think Valenzuela was robbed. I do. And I don't even think the fight was close. You know what I mean? Like, it was, to me, a clear robbery. When you are hurting the man in the ring in almost every round, that matters. And it should matter to the judges. And especially when you get a knockdown too. I'm not sure what those judges were looking at, but we got to understand. Some judges like the boxer. Some judges like the swarmer. Some judges like the brawler. Some judges like the stalker. Some judges like the boxer puncher. It just depends on the style of fighter you have in the ring and what the judge likes. And obviously they like seeing someone get their ass kicked across 10 rounds. So that being said, more to come on all this. I feel bad for Valenzuela, man. And Chris Colbert will not give him a rematch. Not because Valenzuela is a sore loser, because Chris Colbert knows that Valenzuela will probably knock him out next time. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. And I'm in the breeze.